The sun was dipping low beyond the edge of the city, casting long, lonely shadows over forgotten streets and empty lots. It was the kind of place people preferred not to see. A graveyard of broken glass, rusted cans, and silence. Officer Ethan Cole had driven these back roads for years, patrolling the corners the world had abandoned. But that evening felt different. His radio crackled with static, and through the fading hum of twilight, he thought he heard something. A faint, trembling whimper. It was so soft he almost doubted it, yet strong enough to make him pull over. He stepped out, scanning the desolate stretch behind an old warehouse. The air was thick with the stench of rot and burnt plastic. At first, all he saw were piles of trash and ragged cloths. Then, in the corner of his vision, something moved. Small, fragile, half hidden under a torn blanket near a heap of garbage. His heartbeat quickened as he approached. Lying motionless on the ground was a little girl. Her skin was pale and paper, thin, her limbs no thicker than twigs, her tangled hair matted with gray dust. For a terrifying moment, Ethan thought she was gone. Then, the faintest rise and fall of her chest. She was alive. If you believe in kindness and second chances, take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Stories of Keenness. Helping stories like this one reach hearts that still care. Ethan dropped to his knees beside the girl, his breath catching in his throat. She couldn't have been older than 8, dressed in a filthy pink dress that hung loosely from her frail frame. Her lips were cracked, her face hollow, her fingers twitching weakly as if reaching for something long lost. He whispered softly, though he didn't know her name, praying she could hear him. Her eyes fluttered open for a heartbeat, pale blue, clouded with exhaustion, and that was enough. Ethan grabbed his radio and shouted for an ambulance, his voice trembling with urgency. As he waited, his gaze fell on something beside her. A small stuffed bear, torn and singed, with a name tag stitched to its ear, for Ivy, love Mom. The words hit him like a blow. He picked up the toy, brushed off the dirt, and found a faded photograph tucked beneath it. A woman and a little girl smiling in front of a cozy house that looked worlds away from this one. It was clear this child hadn't always known pain. Something terrible had happened. Around him were scattered traces of a lost life. A cracked bowl, a dirty blanket, and footprints that told him someone else had been there recently. When the ambulance arrived, the medics moved fast. Ethan held the girl's tiny hand as they lifted her onto the stretcher. "You're safe now, sweetheart," he whispered. "You're safe." Even after she was taken away, his heart wouldn't rest. That name, Ivy, echoed in his mind. How could anyone leave a child like that behind? That night, he didn't go home. He stayed in the hospital waiting room, eyes fixed on the light above the emergency doors. Hours passed before a nurse emerged to say Ivy was stable, but severely malnourished. Surviving on rainwater and scraps for who knows how long. Ethan didn't sleep. He sat by her bed, watching the monitor beep softly, flipping through every missing child report he could find. By dawn, he found it. Ivy Malone, age 6, missing nearly 2 years ago after her mother, Claire Malone, fled an abusive home. No trace of either since. His chest tightened. Somewhere, a mother might still be searching. Or worse, she might have given up hope. Weeks passed. Ivy slowly regained strength, her cheeks filled out, her eyes grew brighter, though she rarely spoke. Sometimes, half asleep, she'd mumble, "Mommy," or, "Don't hit." Words that shattered Ethan every time. He swore he wouldn't stop until he found her story's missing piece. One afternoon, as he reviewed old files, the call came. A nearby shelter had found a woman wandering the city's outskirts. Thin, bruised, and muttering about losing her little girl in a fire. Ethan's hands trembled as he asked her name. "Claire," she whispered. At the shelter, Claire looked like a ghost. Hair matted, eyes hollow, her hope long buried. But when Ethan showed her the photo he'd found by Ivy's side, her world cracked open. Tears streamed down her dirt-streaked cheeks as she clutched the picture to her chest, sobbing, "She's alive, my baby's alive." Ethan could hardly speak. For a while, they both just cried. A mother who had lost everything, and a man who refused to let her story end in despair. The reunion at the hospital was beyond words. When Ivy saw the woman standing at the door, the room fell silent. Then, in a trembling whisper, she said, "Mummy." Claire ran forward, collapsing to her knees, wrapping her daughter in her arms as if afraid she might disappear again. The nurses wept. Even Ethan had to turn away, tears burning his eyes. After years of seeing pain and cruelty, this moment reminded him why he wore the badge. To protect, to heal, to give hope. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe to Stories of Kindness. Reminding the world that compassion still exists. And one act of care can rewrite a life. Before you go, tell us in the comments. What would you have done if you were Officer Ethan? Would you have stopped that car? As Ethan walked out of the hospital that evening, the sunset blazed orange once again. Just like the night he found her. But this time, instead of silence, he heard laughter drifting from Ivy's room. And for the first time in years, Ethan smiled through tears, knowing that even in the darkest corners, kindness can breathe life back into the world.